Hello and welcome to the Fancy Threesome FPL podcast. The intro was interrupted by Mike eating a crisp. How are you, Mike?
Very well, thank you very much. Yeah, on top of the world, lads. For the first time, to quote Elsa from Frozen, I think for the first time in forever, I am top of the league. I mean, she doesn't say all of that, but yeah, very, very happy with my first week and very happy with life in general.
Well, that's good. On top of the league, you mean between us three, not in our whole league?
Oh, for sure. I'm about 400th in our league, but
yeah, that's good. I'm really happy for you, Anthony. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm equally as happy for Mike after his. We'll get onto our weeks, but Mike winning out of the three of us, that's a slightly better start than last season, shall we say? So that's put a cat amongst the pigeons, hasn't it, Phil?
Hasn't it just? Give him a head start. Why not?
Phil, I know it doesn't make great audio for those listening to the pod rather than watching it on YouTube, but you do appear to have come as KSI this week, channeling your YouTube guru. You've got some kind of white bandana headband with a Lakers t-shirt.
CSI Miami?
KSI.
Just Google him.
Not sure what that is.
Oh, well.
Is it a band?
He's not down with the kids. Not down with the kids.
I'll be honest, I don't really know what he does, but I do know who he is.
It's a he. It's a he.
He's a singer.
Someone called their child that. KSI.
I'm not sure
Yeah,
KSI, mate.
Oh, right.
I'd imagine
like an anagram of ski.
It is an anagram of ski.
Yeah. Cool. Great.
The pod started so well this week, boys.
It's a classic tangent. Thank you for that. You look like someone who's been doing sports in your sports gear, Michael.
Well, I actually did bring my bench coat into the room with me because I thought I might put that on and be, manager of the week, but I haven't got as carried away as that. But I have got these sports polo shirts on. Yes, indeed, I'm very much a tracksuit manager.
Excellent. And this year, remember, there's a bit of jeopardy for each of us involved because the person who gets the lowest score each week has to contribute to the big prize hamper, which one of you lucky listeners will win at the end of the season. So let's see how we got on then. Well, Mike, you've kind of given away that you've done all right. So shall I go first?
Spoiler alert.
I go first?
Yeah, please do. How did you get on?
Well, I wish I'd gone to the page. Well, I thought I was doing all right. I was pretty happy with my score come Saturday night. And then everything which sort of template, every player that was in the sort of template team on Sunday did well. So I dropped down. So I ended up on 81 points, which, ordinarily that'd be excellent. I was thinking, it must be sort of top 20 in our league. Nope, 472 in our league. So I was a bit gutted. As I was with Mike camping over the weekend, and Ant was camping, but on a trip that he didn't invite us to. So we had to set up a rival camp. So I was camping with Mike, and Friday afternoon I was we were in a co-op, weren't we, near Weymouth? And I was
living the dream,
changing my team just constantly in the car. I just didn't know what to do. And in the end, I went big in the middle, terrible everywhere else. That
sounds very much like my physique.
So I had Sanchez in goal, 2 points. Wan-Bissaka, I went Wan-Bissaka over Shaw, which, having watched the highlights, seems like a terrible decision because Wan-Bissaka just watches everyone attack. I also fell for Ben White in defence, which
you weren't alone in that. There's a lot of people fell for Ben White,
and it reminded me of when Toblerone started cutting out triangles from their chocolate bars, and you buy it and you think, actually, this isn't as good as it looks. That was exactly what happened with Ben White. Simicast, I had Simicast. He got me 6, and then midfield: Mane 3, Barnes 3, Fernandes 20, and Salah 34. Up top, even Tony got me 2, but I reckon I'll keep him. He's got some good fixtures coming up. Bamford got me 2, which was disappointing. But I do think that a wounded Leeds is a dangerous Leeds, and I think that they at home against Everton will be very good this weekend. So I'll be sticking with
Who did you captain? Because you had 2 big wins there with both Salah and Fernandes. Who was your captain?
Yeah, I captained Salah because last year he got me 20 points, doubled up to 40 on the first week of the season. But the other player I had was Adam Armstrong. 6 million in
Yeah.
thanks. We last week on the podcast we said if he was to come in, what price would he have to be to get him in our teams?
Yeah.
And 6 million, I thought was a good price for someone who's going to be
finish.
starting up front, and we know he's a good finisher. Has a cracking finish. So 81, I'll take it. That it could have been a lot worse, and congratulations to the guys who've done really, really well. We had someone in our league, Philip Darko, who got 118, which
Good
for
grief.
a first week is unbelievable, really.
Mm.
And so how did you get on, Anthony?
Well, it's a wooden spoon for me this week, mate.
Oh.
Just below average as well. I would suggest it's not often, is it? We get a week where we got the average of 69. Really, really high scoring week, wasn't it? Generally across the board. It was a weird one for me. I'd suggest I was slightly unlucky. I was actually fairly happy with my team. You talk about being 400 and something, Phil. I'm in the bottom 50, mate. I think I'm 590th in our league. The numbers are high this year. Boys, it's fine. Look, I started well last year and tailed off. I'm just going to do the opposite this season. It's all good. It's all good. So, as I say, in terms of the luck, I had a front three, all of who scored. You can't ask any more than that, I would suggest. Jamie Vardy, Callum Wilson and Danny Ings. 5, 6 and 7 for them, respectively. I got my captain choice right. I had Mohamed Salah, who got 34. But then it was just, unfortunately for myself, dross across the rest of the pitch, really. Madison only got 3, then injured. I made a late choice and took out Damari Gray and brought in Kai Havertz. He came on for the last 8 minutes to get a single point. So he's obviously not in favour. The likes of Pulisic and Chalobah and the like have come in and done really well, scored some good goals. So a single point for him. Brighton conceded, so Duncan only got 2. Arsenal, which I'm sure we'll go on to more detail, looked absolutely woeful. I mean, I texted you boys, didn't I, in our group. As soon as I saw the team news come out from the Brentford Arsenal game, I said, God, how weak is that Arsenal 11? It looked really bad on paper, and so it proved to be. So just a point for him.
Yeah.
TAA 6 was my only defender who did anything. Luke Shaw only got a point. Manchester United looked so good, but just conceded that worldie to Ayling. And Martinez, Aston Villa, conceding 3 to newly promoted Watford. He got me 2. The bench I got wrong as well. I mean, I kind of got it right because Ayling, I expected Leeds to lose, so I had Ayling on the bench. Didn't expect him to go and score a worldie. So 6 points sat there on my bench. So I ended up with a grand total of 68, which normally, boys, I would suggest is a half decent score. But I mean, some of the scores went into the hundreds for game week 1. Goals all over the place, which is, carrying on from last season. Last season teams starting like houses on fire in terms of goals. Defense is not on top, shall we say. But yeah, a little bit unlucky, boys. But well done to you two. I'm now going to hand over to Michael. I'm sure he's going to tell us with great glee how he or came out on top between the three of us.
How did he come out on top? Because captain pick.
Let's let Mike tell the story.
Go on, Michael. You can tell them about the phoning me whilst I was in the car as well. If you
I will.
I will.
Yeah, so let's talk I'll talk you through the team first of all. So Schmeichel got me 9 points. Very happy with that. I think at 5 mil for the next few weeks, he's a great pick. Actually, defensively, was really disappointing. So Shaw got me 1. I wasn't alone in backing Shaw. Dina only got me the 2, and Cash only got me 1. A real surprise result there, I thought, for Villa at Watford. People have high hopes for Villa this season, and I'm one swallow doesn't make a summer, apart from this score, obviously, for me in this league. But yeah, I think he'll come good eventually. Grealish only got me the 1 point. Havertz only got me the 1 point. Barnes only got me the 3. So you probably think at this point, well, how the heck did Mike win this week? Well,
I know how you won, and I'm still thinking, how did he win?
Yeah, I mean, agreed. Ditto. How?
If we just look further into my midfield, I captained firstly Ryan Bertrand. Now, that was a controversial pick, but I thought it might just give me an edge. I wasn't expecting all those key players to come good, and we know that the vast majority of them did this week from those template teams. But I picked Bertrand, and actually that was proven to be a fairly sensible pick. They kept a clean sheet at home to Wolves. I was confident they would, and I think had Bertrand played, he would have been on a lot of the set plays. So that wasn't a bad shout. But of course, that was a 3 o'clock kickoff, and myself and Phil were sat on Ringstead Bay Beach, burning. and we were listening along to the game, much to the thrill of our wives on Phil's phone. And Fernandez, of course, gets his hat trick, and I'm there. I'm pretty happy. 20 points. However, he's my vice captain. So I was thinking, well, wouldn't be massively disappointed if Bertrand wasn't to play then. And lo and behold, we're driving from Ringstead Bay into the centre of Weymouth in convoy. And through the radio it comes, some sweet COVID for Ryan Bertrand. And he was unable to play. And of course, it doubles me up to 40 for Fernandez. Lovely old touch.
Unbelievable.
So I was, of course, straight on the blower to Phil. Jota also picked me up 8 points before being subbed off. Antonio, despite the missed penalty, got me 13. And Ings, from scoring a penalty, got me the 7. I total out at 86 points, lads. And should we just, stop the count, to quote Donald Trump?
Yeah, the worst thing was when you phoned me to say that your captain had COVID, I down the phone was laughing at you, as in, this is exactly the sort of terrible start I expected of your season.
Yeah.
And then there was a moment where it hit, and I was like, who's your vice captain?
Oh, nuts. I couldn't believe that.
Well done, you. Yeah, well done, I was thinking. I was
pretty annoyed. I was at a food festival on Saturday, equally baking.
All right, la-di-da.
Yeah, it was very nice. I spent £12 on fudge. Very nice fudge it was too.
Anthony, not just very nice, Anthony. When I saw you earlier this evening, you told me it was the nicest fudge you've ever had.
Yep.
Even though last year I made some fudge for you and drove all the way to your house to deliver it, you told me tonight that it was the nicest fudge you've ever had.
Yeah, I'm sorry, mate. I am sticking with that. As delightful as your fudge was, and how grateful I am that you drove all the way to deliver the fudge. I'll save you a piece, mate. It's incredible fudge, and I'm glad it was, because it mopped up my tears as I saw you both had Fernandez as I was getting updates from somebody else. Bruno's got 2. Oh, he's got 3. Oh, freaking heck, brilliant! Yeah, I was absolutely delighted with that. But
so, how many points did you finish on?
68.
68. Phil 81. Myself 86. So that means, Ant, that it's time to put a prize in the hamper. Now, this has to be a prize that is of at least £5 value on eBay or more.
I have an exciting idea here.
Oh,
cool. Okay. Please do.
Good to have a bit of a brainstorm live on the pod.
Absolutely. Let's not change a habit of a lifetime. So, as listeners may realise, it was my birthday last week. Had a lovely day. Thank you very much. Anthony has a birthday in 2 days. Anthony has a birthday in 2 days' time. So
do I? Or is it tomorrow, Phil?
It's tomorrow, the day after. It's in August. Okay. And so I gave him a present tonight, and he can open that live on air. And if he doesn't like it, it can go straight in the prize hamper. But if he does that after insulting my fudge, he is dead to me.
No pressure then, mate. I'm sure as it's from you, I will love it. But it was your birthday first, and I gave you a gift tonight, and I would like you to open it live on air.
Oh, this is quite the loving.
This is nice.
Sorry, Mike.
That's all right. I've got the present of being top of the three of us. It's fine.
That's probably the best of the lot.
Provide a gift for the proceedings this evening?
Oh, I didn't provide a gift for either of you. I will do what I normally do and pay for you to play foot golf next time we go, or treat you a Pizza Hut.
Lovely.
Okay, thank you. Well, I'm opening Anthony's present as we speak, and there looks to be some sort of mug in a box, I would guess, here, and a
You
T-shirt.
might need some scissors.
No, I won't need scissors, mate. I'm a strong man. I can open.
I mean, you two do have a little history of giving gifts. I mean, Phil particularly giving gifts that have pictures of yourself naked on it to Anthony.
No, this is a cracker this time. Look at this.
Look at that. Look at that. A bit of branding. It's a unique fantasy podcast T-shirt.
Turn around the back. Turn around the back.
Oh, and a bit of sponsorship.
Look at that, boys.
That's lovely, lads.
There you go, mate.
Recent pod. Hey,
wear that with pride.
Yeah, I could do that. Thank you, mate. That's really kind of you. That's really kind.
He said he could do that. He said he could do that.
Check out the mug. Check out the mug.
I'll check out the mug as well. I'm wondering where we're going here. Anthony, this is a lovely gift. Thank you very much. I hope this is making for great audio, listeners. Oh, it's a fantasy threesome podcast mug.
There you go. I feel like we should all have one. And
Oh, that's really nice. Well,
lavender.
it's Mike's birthday in December, 22nd.
There we go.
I know that one.
Very good.
Thank you, Ant. That's really kind. Do you want to open your present?
Oh, well, why not?
Please tell me you got him a fancy threesome T-shirt and mug.
That would have been a brilliant idea.
The symmetry on that. Here it is. It's a lovely doggy bag there.
It's not a doggy bag.
Yeah, it's not some leftover party food. It is actually
a bag with dogs on.
Party bag with dogs on it.
Here we go.
It's a reused gift bag.
Oh, is this past the parcel?
No, not past.
I hope not, because this is fairly tedious audio without several words.
Oh, good grief!
Anthony, well, I've designed your gift as well.
I mean, Mike's got a point here with the nakedness and stuff on here. I'm just going to hold this up. What we do have, and I have not yet seen this. Okay, I'm going to get a packet. It's shoes.
Shoes. Just if you're in France.
Do you know my shoe size?
I guessed at 10.
Plimsoll type shoes with my sporting hero and man crush, Jenson Button.
There's a lovely topless one of them on there, Anthony.
Oh, is there?
So just to be clear, these are a pair of trainers that are emblazoned with Jenson Button's face on.
Yes.
Many pictures of Jenson Button's torso and face.
The two. I can't wait to step out with the two of you anytime soon.
I can't think of anything I'd rather have on my feet. Thank you very much, mate. There's no chance of that going in the old prize hamper. No, thank you.
What size shoe are you?
Oh no.
There we go. Sorry.
So if I can draw you back seamlessly to the fantasy football podcast we're doing.
Can we just clarify shoe size? Just see if I wasted a load of money. 10. They are a 10. Excellent.
Oh, mate, I can't wait to walk into my dentist at 9 a.m. tomorrow with those bad boys on.
So
this is incredible. Yes. Sorry.
What will you be putting? Yes. What will you be putting in the prize hamper?
On the motorsport theme and the book theme, following on from Nigel Mansell's.
Really?
Yeah.
You're just casting off all your various
books.
Motorsport books.
Well, I'm guessing that all of our listeners in Singapore would like another book to go with Nigel Mansell's autobiography, and that is Jason Plato's autobiography, which is a very good read.
Fair night, lads.
What more could you want? It's a very good read.
Boys, a bad news about being the #1 fantasy sports podcast in Singapore. We're not anymore.
Oh, what?
Crying out.
No, I mean,
we took her off the ball. We got complacent.
Yeah, I would say at the moment. I think they had Nigel Mansell and we're like, no.
I'm sure Jason Plato will have them roaring back.
I'll promise you one thing, boys. Should I lose next week, I will not donate a book and it will not involve motorsport. How's that for you?
That sounds terrific.
So, coming up on this week's podcast, 18 minutes in, we'll be looking at and Michael's got some bargains for us, some bargain buys. Yes. We'll be doing our punts. We've got some questions and that have emerged after the game week 1 fixtures, and then some predictions. So, Mike, you've got a section lined up on bargain players. Am I correct?
Yes, I have. And for this, I need some music. Let me just. Oh yeah, I know. I've really have gone all out on this. I hope this works. Share audio. Here we go. Can you hear that? Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Just about.
Okay, so it's an Only Fools and Horses themed bargain basement. It's called Lovely Jubbly. Each week, maybe just this week, I'm going to give you five bargains out of my metaphorical suitcase and my fold-up table. And all you need to do is decide whether they are indeed Lovely Jubbly or I'm being a plonker Rodney to each one. So it's all about bargains, lads. That good?
That's very good.
That's great.
Okay.
Your music's just about to cut off, and an episode of Fools and Horses is just about to start.
No, I've got it on loop, mate. It's fine.
Excellent, great.
Here we go then. First one is a young man. If you're of a certain vintage, you might remember the cartoon Dennis. Can't wait for Watford to play Newcastle, Mr. Wilson. Yes, it's Dennis of Watford. 5 million. Got a goal and an assist on his debut on Saturday against Villa. Looked very, very lively. And in the absence of Josh King, looks to be the main man up front for them. 5 million.
He was excellent.
Are you saying Lovely Jubbly, or are you saying Plonker Rodney?
I'm saying Lovely Jubbly. Can we briefly talk about him?
Sure.
Cool. Yeah, I watched the highlights of that game, and before he went off with a slight knock, he's 75% chance of playing the next game at the moment. But he was just dominant. He was really strong, really quick. Like I say, he got a goal and an assist. I don't know where he came from, but he's done. He looked really handy. And what is he? 5.5?
5.
5.
5.
Yeah,
Oh,
bargain.
Lovely that. Yeah. He's a bargain for me. And
Yeah, agreed. Lovely Jubbly. Yeah, again, I saw that, and bit of a shock result there, wasn't it? Villa looked all over the place at the back, but he did look really, really good. And like you said, with Josh King out for a little bit, my only question there, Mike, is what Watford's fixtures like?
Oh, I've got absolutely no idea, mate. Sorry.
Great, cool. Well, I'm still going Lovely Jubbly.
I'm thinking, and not to, like we were saying, not to brainstorm live on the podcast, but maybe the audio that you're playing can be at the intro and the end to this section.
Yeah, it is. I'll be honest. Yeah, that's
that's
our fourth loop of the same theme track.
Thank you very much.
No problem at all.
So you can prepare it for when you stop talking about bargains. But for now, who's your next player?
I've made my point. My next player, maybe obviously, a lot of people were flagging him up pre-season. Said that he'd had a really good summer. Looked like he was going to have a good second season for his team. Ben Rama of West Ham, who again popped up with a golden assist, is still at the time of recording still 6 mil. I wouldn't be surprised to see some people jump on him. He's filled that void that Lingard has left. Again, was on a lot of set pieces. So yeah, at 6 million, he I think is a decent shout.
Yeah, he's especially if you are now panicking, and like a lot of players are, they're quickly trying to get Fernandes in or Salah in. He's a good enabler. He's a cheaper midfielder. You can swap out like Havertz and say you've got Havertz and I don't know Son. If you really wanted to get rid of him, then you could go Ben Rama and Bruno.
If you look at West Ham's fixture as well, Leicester home, Palace home, Southampton away. I think Palace and Southampton are potentially banging trouble this season. United home, Leeds away. So there's some points to be had there, certainly in the short term. I'd go Lovely Jubbly on that one.
Yep, same.
Look at this. Okay, next up then. Now, this was a tough one for me to call. There's some good value in the Spurs defence, I think. Both Eric Dyer and Tanganga, who was brilliant yesterday against Man City. I watched the full 90, and it was a real man of the match performance from him. However, it was noticeable that he came off with, I think, 10 minutes to play, and Nuno brought on Doherty, who, of course, he had a really strong relationship with at Wolves, and he did ever so well under Nuno there. And Tanganga looked pretty peeved to be coming off. So I think maybe he senses that, no matter how well he plays, Doherty could well then take his place. So I'm going for Eric Dyer, who I think will... Sorry, I've gone round in a circle there.
You have built up Tanganga to go Dyer.
Yes, I have. Well, no, I'm saying Tanganga's not... I think he's a trap. He had a great first game, but I think he'll be dropped before too long for Doherty.
I think the other thing with Tanganga is that during the game, because it's the only game that I saw all of the game this weekend, he was targeting Grealish and targeting Sterling, and he was playing very physically to the point where at one point the ref had to speak to Lloris and say, look, calm him down. And, if he's being told to play that way, he's going to pick up quite a few bookings as well. Oh, yeah. He's munching into some... What flavour are you on the crisps?
I've got a combo tonight. I've gone some bacon, some beef. It's a meat feast of crisps.
You can never have too much meat, my friend.
Wow. Okay.
Despite Spurs' fixtures, which are Wolves away, Watford home, Palace away, I'm not sure, boys. I mean, yes, he got a bonus point, but I mean, I didn't see the Spurs game. Incredible result for them, and I think Nuno's actually going to do very, very well for them this season. He may not have been their number one choice, but I think Spurs are going to do very well. I'm not sure there's enough points in him potentially there, but potential differential 2% ownership at the moment, 2.1% ownership, in fact.
What you did see with Wolves under Nuno was they started with a very strong defensive base. And then they worked from there. It was very rare at halftime they'd be in the lead. It would nearly always be nil-nil at halftime, and they'd give themselves a chance in the second half. So if he adopts a similar strategy with Spurs, I think they're a team where if you're looking at 4.5 million defenders that are starting week in, week out, and I do think Dyer will. For me, I think it's a decent pick. But what about you, boys? So you're saying a bit of a plonker, Rodney Ant?
Bit of a plonker for me, mate.
Okay, Phil.
It's a 4.5 million defender who's starting, so I would say, yeah, he's all right. He's all right, that one. Whilst we're quickly talking about Spurs,
Sorry, it's all right. I mean, we're trying to build a brand. I know we've chopped the theme
sorry,
tune already, but
I went super grass. Lovely jubbly.
thank you.
Whilst we're talking Spurs, Lucas Moura, 6.5 million, looked like a man possessed and a man who
brilliant.
really has a point to prove. The amount of times he carried the ball from near the edge of his own box to, a dangerous position for Spurs. And he just got his head down and ran. And Man City couldn't cope with him. It was a weird game, wasn't it? Because the first 10 minutes I spent watching thinking, I'm going to have to wildcard here to bring in City players. They look unbelievable. And then they just kind of fizzled out. And Spurs scared them a few times with counterattacks. And then, City didn't really know what to do. Everyone said it. They do miss someone to put the ball in the net.
Well, like Harry Kane.
Yeah, like Harry Kane.
We'll see what happens there. Okay, number 4 then of my list of 5 is Mbeumo. I flagged him up before the season. I thought he looked really lively against Arsenal. I mean, an Arsenal team that were bereft of any shape or defence, frankly. But but there isn't a huge amount of offerings below 6 million that I would look at. Maybe skip at Spurs, but again, he's playing very deep. So I think Mbeumo at 5.5 million. Brentford have already proved in that first game that they're here to compete. They're not going to be also rounds, or they're not relegation fodder. They may end up going down, but they certainly won't go down without a fight. And I think they'll score goals on their way. Mbeumo for me at 5.5. Plonker.
He had a moment where he was just inside the box and he sold two Arsenal players completely the wrong way, but then he kind of snatched at his shot. But you could have easily, scored there and should have scored.
Yeah.
And he was very good going forward and linking up play, and he was getting into all the right positions. 5.5 million. You got him, Damari Gray, who we mentioned last week, didn't we?
Yeah. He
who
started.
And actually, so did Townsend. But Everton, we'll talk about Everton in a minute. But
we'll talk about Townsend because he's my number 5. Thank you for the spoiler.
There we are.
But going back to Mbeumo, lovely jubbly, Plonker.
Yeah, I would go lovely jubbly again. Short-term fixtures for Brentford look winnable. Palace away, Villa away, Brighton home, Wolves away. So certainly short-term. And Brentford looked, like, as you say, they were here to compete. Yes, Arsenal were appalling, but Brentford looked really, really good, I thought. And that's a good shout. It's a lovely jubbly for me.
Great stuff. And then finally, we kind of preempted it, but Andros Townsend, he only played, I think it was 68 minutes. He's working his way back to fitness. But I really like the look of him. He was very dynamic going forward for Everton. Was the difference, I think, in the second half. Got himself an assist. He's only got 0.8% ownership, but he's 5.5 million. And I think he starts every week for Everton. And they're a mid to top table team. I think as an attacking threat, he's at 5.5. I think that's real value.
I see your 5.5 on Townsend, and I would suggest you spend it on Gray.
Really? Why?
Because yes, he got an assist. Everton. I mean, I'm not suggesting you 100% buy Gray because I wasn't convinced with Everton despite their win. The first goal that Richarlison scored, it was just a clearance from a corner, headed back in, and Richarlison got on the end of it. It wasn't like great build-up play. Doucouré produced a little bit of magic. Again, it wasn't great build-up play. It wasn't like they were streaming forward constantly. And then the Calvert-Lewin goal, that was, a bit more classic, forward play and attacking. So I don't know what we're going to get with them yet. I think
who put the delivery in that attacking play?
I'll
tell you, it was Townsend.
Townsend, yeah. Interesting that. But Damari Gray, in the highlights I saw, Damari Gray, all he was doing was get the ball down the line and cross it in for Calvert-Lewin, and that will produce assists and plenty of them.
Without doubt. Yeah, I mean, he could have scored in the first half, DCL, couldn't he? And, Demarai Gray was someone I had in my team originally. We talked about him last week. Wasn't sure if he was actually going to come in and start. Had about 0.4% ownership going into the weekend, but looked really lively. And Everton have some really winnable games coming up. So, yeah, Townsend would be a lovely jubbly for me as well.
Yeah, they've
So
got
of the two, we're both making a case here for Everton asset. Would you go Gray or would you go Townsend?
It's a tough one, isn't it? Because if you're looking at differentials already, which someone like myself who's playing catch up's already got to play. I'm actually going to go with Demarai Gray. I think he's going to start at the moment for Everton, and he would just sneak it for me. But there's not a lot in it, is there? Both on price and ownership, and probably attacking threat. But Demarai Gray would probably just sneak it for me.
Well, there you go. Well, thanks, lads.
It's a lovely feature, Mike. Well done.
There ends lovely jubbly.
Oh yeah,
And it really was
Lovely.
quite lovely.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
well done, Michael.
And you didn't make a plonk of yourself, so happy days.
Yes, indeed.
Now, boys, let's talk about our punts where we pick a player of under 2% ownership, and if they come off, then we're safe for the next week. We won't get our captain picked by a listener. I went for Konsa, who conceded 3 goals to Watford and got 1 point.
Lovely. So not the best. Mike, who did you go for?
Well, I funny enough, I went for Ryan Bertrand, lads, and
Oh, wow.
sadly on this occasion, there's no subbing him out for Fernandez, so nil point for me.
Well, I mean, at least I won this one, boys, of sorts. I had Demarai Gray, who got 2 points, I believe. So I won out of the 3 of us, but still no goal or an assist. So it's a hollow victory, to say the least.
Yeah, so no real return for any of us outside of the
No,
minutes that they played.
absolutely not.
Which means it's a 3-way tie, right?
Correct.
It's a 3-way tie, which means we'll play a little FPL quiz to decide who gets their captain picked by a listener. Now, the listener this week who's picking it is Craig Richards by default, because I, as I said, was going camping, and we'd been to Peppa Pig World the day before. I was very tired, and I completely forgot to put the competition entry out there for the Fantasy Threesome punt. And so Craig Richards messaged me earlier in the week saying, I'm not going to, be there on Friday to do the competition. So let me tell you, I'm going for Martial. And Martial came on and got 1 point. And with that, he wins. So
Brilliant.
Congratulations, Craig.
Craig Richards, that is the win that you've been hoping for. So Craig will pick one of our captains this week, depending on who wins this game. So Mike, do you want to explain how every second mounts works?
Absolutely. I'll just play it. I'm going to give you a category, and there are up to 10 correct answers. What I want you to do is tell me how many of the 10 you can name without getting one wrong. You'll compete before we reveal the answers as to who they think can get the highest score. They can then either choose to pass or play. So, I'm really sorry about this, lads, but I am going for a little. Well, it's a term I know you're not a fan of, but it's the top 10 players based on the first week with the highest XG.
Oh, gosh.
Good grief.
Yeah. Do you want to explain what that is? Because
what is?
It's expected
Does anyone
goals.
know what it is?
Yeah, it's expected goals based on a combination of possession in the opposition box, touches in the opposition box, shots that are getting away, chances created for them. So yeah.
Top 10?
Top 10. Obviously, we've only had one game, so you're basing this purely on match of the day, really.
I'll go 2.
What?
Well, I don't have a clue. I don't look at this statistic.
Oh, I don't, but go hard or go home. My favourite 6.
Sorry, you've just jumped from 2 to 6.
Yep. I'm playing him out of the game, mate.
You could have just gone 3.
Yeah, but then he'd just go 4. There's just no point. Let's just get on with it. 6.
6. Out of 10.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, it's all yours.
Feels like you can just sit back now and just let me fail on the first one.
Okay, then. So based on 1 week and 1 week alone, let's look at the top 10 XG. And away you go.
Bruno Fernandes.
And incredibly.
Really?
And with that, Anthony, you've lost the game.
What? Someone who scored a hat trick.
Yeah.
Wow. Well,
he's got expected goals of 0.68 per game.
Oh, good.
Let me tell you, that is why I don't listen to. That's why I watch football.
Yeah. Let me talk you through the 10 though, because it may tip off a few people.
Do you want me to go for some guesses?
Yeah, go on then. Well, you can go until you get one wrong.
Oh, I think Calvert-Lewin had lots of chances.
Yes, he did. He's in the top 10. Number 5, in fact.
Ron Dennis for Watford.
No, it's Emmanuel Dennis.
Adam Armstrong.
You've had your turn, Anthony, but no. So your top 10 looks like this. Top.
Stupid XG.
Mikel Antonio. Roberto Firmino, remarkably, after just less than half an hour on the pitch, is number 2. Number 3 is Callum Wilson. 4, Christian Norgard of Brentford. 5, Dominic Calvert-Lewin. 6, Neil Maupay. 7, Adama Traore. 8, Danny Ings. 9, James Tarkowski. And 10, Thomas Souček. So a few surprises in there, but you might want to look at a few of those assets. Souček is another one at 6 million. Maupay's cheap up front as well. Norgard, that would really surprise a few of your friends in your leagues if you went for Norgard. High XG. So if XG is your thing, I know it's not Phil's.
Or mine now.
And I'll be frankly, after hearing that someone can score a hat trick and have a lower XG than Maupay. I'm a bit lost by it really. But there we go. So that is 1-0 Phil.
Woo.
Well done, Phil.
Okay, do you want my question now then?
Please.
Okay, I'm going for, because I like to think of myself as a player who can see a pass. I can't necessarily pull it off, but I can see a pass, and I like to play a nice little neat through ball. So I'm looking for players who have got an assist so far this season. There are a few of them.
Brilliant.
Oh, I wish.
I'd guess there's about 20, 22.
I wish I'd spotted this on Match of the Day.
I'm going to go 6
assists. How many, Phil, are there? About 20 odd?
Yeah, 20-ish. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I just didn't notice, boys. Go on then, Mike. Reel off your 6.
Brilliant. Okay. I've named a few of them already in my lovely jubbly section. So let's get those over and done with. Emmanuel Dennis of Watford. We've talked about him a lot tonight.
Yes.
Star of the show.
£5 million.
Ben Rama, goal and an assist.
Correct.
Andros Townsend.
Yes.
There's 3. Of course, Paul Pogba got 4 assists this week, so I'll have him in there as well.
He got 4 assists this week. Last season got 6 in total.
Incredible. So I got 2 to find. Well, Antonio got an assist, didn't he?
Yeah, Antonio missed a penalty and still got 13 points.
Incredible.
And bringing home the bacon, I will go with the little wing wizard himself, Alan Saint-Maximin of Newcastle.
He looked good, didn't he? And he has got an assist. Yeah, he's
playing as a striker in the game this season, which is a bit frustrating.
Yeah, that is frustrating. In the opposite way to Mbeumo, who is playing as a midfielder in the game, but is actually a striker. But yeah, Mike, that wins it. So Ant has lost twice. So we can play your question for fun, Mike.
Or Ant.
Ant's question.
So is that it was over that quickly, Ant, that I forgot it even happened. So
thanks, mate. That's good. It's good. It's been a solid start for me this season. Good. I'll just remortgage my house while I put into the hamper every week. Right. So for mine, boys, I've gone off piste a little bit in terms of the format. So here we go. Let's give this a go, and you're going to have to rack your brains on some of these. So Bruno Fernandes scoring a hat-trick on the opening day of the season was the 10th time a player had scored a Premier League hat-trick on the opening day of the season. What I want you to do is see if you can name the other 9. But the way we'll do it, because it is pretty tricky, is I will name the year, and you can take it in turns. I'll name the year, and you can see if you can name the player who scored it. So, okay. Mike, as you got the most points, out of the three of us this season. I'll let you go first. So the first.
Well, this season so far, Anthony.
Well,
Okay. It seems a fair way to pick who goes first to me.
Absolutely.
Manager of the season so far.
Okay. So the first time it happened was in 1993. Can you name the player who did it, Michael?
I remember it well. 1993.
I mean, you were probably 25.
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to say... so 93... that was the second year of the Premier League, wasn't it? Or the first?
That was the second year, I believe, yeah.
Yeah. Who was in their pomp then? Oh, I don't know. Let's go Sheringham.
Oh, that's interesting. Interesting. I was going to go there. In which case, I'll go Klinsmann.
No, you won't believe it. Mickey Quinn of Coventry. They beat Arsenal 3-0 on the opening day in '93, and he's got.
I'll be honest. I was helped out by FPL Rapper Ducky there. When I say helped out, Mr. who's watching along and had commented.
Oh, lovely job, lovely job, Phil. Your year is 1995.
Okay, my year is 1995. I will go for a young Alan Shearer.
Oh, no. Mike, any ideas?
Tony Yeboah.
Oh, good shouts, boys, but it's not. It was Matthew Letizia in a 4-3 win for Southampton. A 4-3 defeat for Southampton against Nottingham Forest. There we go. So straight to the next year then, Mike, which for you is 1996.
I mean, that feels very Shearer.
Shearer is not. Phil, do you want to have a guess?
Well, I will, because you've asked. I'm going to go left field and say Chris Armstrong.
Oh, not a bad shout. It's Kevin Campbell, boys. Kevin Campbell. Yes, in a 3-0 win for Forest against Coventry City. Right, the next year, 1996, Phil.
Again,
there was two in the same year.
Oh,
1996. I was but 11 years old. Just
Indeed.
turned 11. When I just turned 11, I was watching. Well, let's go for Adi Akinbaye.
Probably pre him, mate. No, so that's not correct.
I mean,
Mike?
out of nowhere, I'm going to go for Fabrizio Ravanelli.
Out of nowhere, are you Googling? Because that is the correct answer.
Well, that's brilliant. Thank you, FPL Rubber Ducky, for your assistance, sir.
And do you know the team who that it was against? It was a win for Middlesbrough on the opening day. Who against who?
Was it Chelsea?
No, it was Liverpool.
Yeah.
In a 3-3 draw. Right. Straight to the next year. So, Mike, I believe it's your turn now, my friend.
Yes.
Straight to the following year, 1997.
1997. Shearer again, please.
Incorrect, Phil.
He keeps taking Shearer, even though it's wrong. It's at least an answer.
You were now 12.
Les Ferdinand.
Oh, not bad chat, boys. Your second favourite team, I believe, both of you, Cov City, Dion Dublin.
Oh, nice.
Before his home's under the hammer fame. Right. So we jump, Phil, this is your year now, jump all the way to 2008.
Gosh. 2008. Ruud van Nistelrooy.
Oh, not a bad guess, but it's incorrect. Mike, have you got anyone there?
That's funny. I was going to go Ruud van Nistelrooy.
Maybe Rubber Ducky will get this one as well.
Maybe.
It's a tricky one, to be fair, this one. Not.
Stuart Ripley.
Oh, Rubber Ducky is clearly on Google. Is indeed Agbonaho. Love that.
Okay, one more then, Anthony. One more, and then we'll get on to our questions.
Yeah, we'll make this the last one. There is more to come, but here we go then. 2010. I believe. Whose goes it now? Is it Phil?
2010. I'm going to go with Wayne Rooney.
Oh, no, it's not. Mike?
2010. I'm going to say Didier Drogba.
Oh, and you would be correct.
Yes.
Is that a genuine non-cheating answer?
Yeah, genuine non-cheating answer.
I don't know where you pulled that from, but that was beautiful. Yeah, they hit West Brom for 6. I'll just very quickly tell you the other ones. Raheem Sterling 2019, Mohamed Salah last year, and of course Bruno Fernandes at the weekend. So there you go.
Nice.
Thank you, Anthony. That was some lovely trivia.
You're welcome.
So, gents, was there anything that you took out of the games over the weekend that
Victory. Oh, sorry.
hollow. That you thought maybe having watched these games, I'm going to take that moving forward with my team.
Well, I instantly made 3 changes Saturday night, if that helps.
No,
Of course.
you didn't even do that. You made 3 changes Friday night.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, I did actually, didn't I?
Because literally none of your players had played, and you made 3 transfers, and you said to me, "I just thought I'd better do it now."
Yeah. Well, I guess
Love
I
that.
forgot. Yeah. Yeah.
So what transfers did you make?
I bought in. Well, Fernandez only got me 40 points, so I've transferred him out and replaced him with Jadon Sancho, because I think Sancho comes in for Dan James this week. It's harsh because they've obviously had a good win at home to Leeds, but I think Sancho plays away at Southampton, and I think he scores or assists. So I've brought him in. Interesting though, that Bruno. I mean, I don't want to go off on a tangent, but Bruno was playing very central, wasn't he? And very, very high up the pitch. But anyway, Sancho I brought in. Lukaku, I brought him in. 11.5.
Feels a bit early.
Well, yeah, really. And obviously, I've swapped out Antonio. I've swapped out my highest scorers.
That
Let's
makes
be
sense.
honest. Fernandez and Antonio. Thanks to the memories, but off you pop.
So those 2 players between them got you 53 points, and you had already transferred them out before they got you those points.
Yes.
Never change, Mike. Never change.
Yeah, and I bought Rafinha in for somebody, but I couldn't tell you who.
I have to agree with Rubber Ducky there, who's just posted that Lukaku's terrible value at 11.5. I think, getting him in this early is, I think at this stage. I mean, Chelsea looked pretty good without him the weekend, so it's a lot of money, mate.
And the fixtures aren't amazing, Chelsea's, are they?
Arsenal away next. But
Arsenal away next. I just feel that is ready-made for Lukaku to come and absolutely smash it up.
Yeah.
Smash it up. Okay.
That's fair enough. Talking of smashing up, did you see the Tarkowski goal against Brighton?
I was going to raise this, boys. I mean, I've seen it briefly. So just to clarify, we've got VAR now, and he's pushed. Was it Mopé to the floor?
Yeah. He's effectively ran through.
I have no
Mopé.
issue with that whatsoever.
Really?
It was interesting.
I really don't like Mopé.
Yeah, but it was Burnley.
Yeah, imagine Burnley. Yeah.
Burnley ruining my keeper's clean sheet within 2 minutes, only to find out that he had effectively. I mean, at the end of the day, all Mopé was going to do was block him off, but he did just run over and push him onto the floor.
That was fairly incredible. Boys, it just quickly. I mean, not so much. Well, I mean, I'm in a bit of trouble here early doors in terms of my team. I've got Maddison, who's picked up a knock. He's only 75% at the moment. I've got Havertz, who doesn't look like he's going to be starting for Chelsea at the moment, unless Tuchel is going to suddenly do a bit of rotation. At the moment, I'm playing a 5-2-3.
Wow.
Exactly. With the players that I've got Tierney in there, who is playing for a very, very poor Arsenal team, and at home to Chelsea, he looked very good at the weekend. So we know, as we know from last season, I do not like making transfers unless completely necessary. Do not like starting on minus. Quite the opposite to Mike. But it feels like I might have to at this early stage. Certainly don't want a wild card at week 2. But yeah, I'm in a bit of pain here, boys.
Don't listen to him necessarily. But
get that wild card out, Anthony.
Those 2
it's too early,
players,
surely.
That's 15.5 million there. And if you were to bring it, because you messaged me, didn't you, saying about Bruno and you didn't have him. He's how much? 12. So yeah, you'd need to make 3 changes to bring him in. Oh, he's 12.1. He's actually gone up now.
Oh dear.
So yeah, that is.
Oh dear.
I'll tell you what I could do for the same. I think
worrying.
Pogba, who got 4 assists at the weekend, is the same price as Havertz. The thing is, you're thinking is realistically, was that a flash in the pan from him?
Is Pogba
Pogba is cheaper than Havertz. Pogba's 7.6. He's gone up in price as well. So a lot of people have thought like that, Anthony. But Havertz, you've actually spent 8.5 on.
Yeah. See, I mean, yeah, it's definitely one I'll consider, I think. But then that's still going to just leave me with a 5-2-3. So it doesn't really help me out because my 2 at the moment does include a Havertz who isn't playing. So I may have to hit a minus.
He's this year's Willian. Everyone's going to transfer him in and be let down by him.
Saints away, though. Saints away.
Yeah.
Next up, very winnable, to say the least.
Yeah, this is true. But if I had
Wolves, then Newcastle, then West Ham.
15.5 to spend on 2 midfielders, I would probably look at someone like Son, if you can get him in, because he looked very dangerous. They've got Wolves, Watford, and Palace next. That'll leave you with 5.5 for maybe Mbeumo, maybe Damari Gray. And I think that would be a better combo. You're at least looking at players who have got, pretty much guaranteed starts. Havertz clearly at the moment isn't guaranteed.
And I think Lukaku only knocks him down the pecking order further. Should we have a look at the fixtures, lads?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay. So our Saturday lunchtime game is Liverpool versus Burnley. I only see this going one way. If you're losing at home to Brighton, Burnley, you're in for a bit of trouble this season.
We all know what Burnley did last season, Anfield, though, don't we?
We do.
Late winner. But I have to agree. Liverpool look very, very good. Norwich, poor. But I mean, Liverpool look back to their best, didn't they? Very, very good going forward.
In terms of assets, that's who I let go, Jota, because I'm another one who scored good points for me. I'm nervous about.
So you've transferred out 60 points of players.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I'm nervous that he got dragged off after an hour for Firmino. I just wonder if he's going to be starting week in, week out. That's a concern. I thought the two of them played in the same team last season, so I'm not quite sure what happened there. It's a
nice headache for Mr. Klopp to have, isn't it?
It is. Of the Liverpool assets, is there anyone that looks like value? I guess Tsimikas, at left back, it looks like he's going to get a run in the team at 4 million. A lot of people obviously have jumped on him.
And he's taking corners in the set pieces. 4
TAA,
million.
I mean, we know he's the most expensive defender in the game, but I had him. He was one of the only players defensively who got points, but he looked good going forward as well.
But if you're weighing that up, then is Trent worth 3.5 more than Tsimikas?
Yeah. Well, I would suggest not.
You're going to get a return on that, especially if Tsimikas is on set pieces on some of the corners.
And especially when you only have 2 midfielders like me, that money could be spent elsewhere.
Yeah. Okay.
I've got Mane and I've got Salah, and
regretting that already?
No, not yet, because they've got some good fixtures, and that's why I got them in. I got them both in because they've got a good run of fixtures at the start of the season. The only issue for me is that is the first game of the weekend. If I captain someone in the first game of the weekend and they don't do anything, I'm going to be really annoyed.
Yeah, it is a bit of a weekend ruiner, isn't it?
It really is. And so I'm thinking maybe I'll captain a United player away at Southampton. But and Burnley would be even more annoying if they stop Salah scoring,
Okay. We won't even bother with Burnley assets. Aston Villa against Newcastle. We've touched on a few of these players already involved. Ings got the penalty, didn't do a great deal else at the weekend, and an awful lot of people are on board Ings at 8 million. What do we think in terms of Villa assets? Was that just a blip, an opening day blip?
Yeah, you can read too much into it, can't you?
Yeah.
I mean, Watford were clearly up for it, and Villa were a bit dumbstruck, really.
Of course, Watford had that guy who they'd had in their books about 4 years. He never played a first-team game for them. He'd been shipped out on loan, comes in, second half, scores an absolute worldie. So I think it could have been a freak result. I think they probably did the scoreline there. Did flatter Villa at the end, didn't they? Scored two very late goals. But Villa at home, I fancy them. Newcastle looked leaky against West Ham. Lost. Was it 4-2 in the end? Even with Antonio's missed penalty. So I fancy Villa to get a few goals and to win that game. Goals for both teams, I would suggest as well.
Yeah, I mean Bailey fizzed in an assist. Wasn't actually a great ball, but got an assist on his debut. 6.5 million. comes with a good reputation from the Bundesliga. So he might be somebody you want to look at if you're looking at somebody a little bit different. Those early signings. Not everybody takes a chance on these early signings, and I think ownership for him will be a lot lower than Buendia. So worth a look.
That's because Buendia's on set pieces as well, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I really like St. Maximin, but I'm frustrated that they're playing him on the game here as a striker.
What about Callum Wilson? 7.5. He's in the same sort of price band as Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin, and there's a few other
Scored at the
strikers
weekend.
around. Antonio.
I think him and St. Maximin are the only two assets at Newcastle that I would even consider having in my squad.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think despite all his injuries, Callum Wilson still scored nearly half of Newcastle's goals last season. It was some ridiculous stat like that. So he certainly knows where the goal
more
is.
ridiculous. This season, he scored exactly half of all their goals.
All right, let's have a quick look at Crystal Palace Brentford. This is one that would have made the Monday night at 6 o'clock kickoff back in lockdown. Crystal Palace against Brentford. Difficult to judge Crystal Palace on a away trip to Stamford Bridge, isn't it? And Brentford obviously started very well. Travel just on the road to Palace. Norgard with a very high XG, and we've talked up Mbeumo already. Ivan Toney, is he gonna disappoint a few owners because he's got very high ownership?
Could he be this season's Mitrovic? Everyone jumped on the Mitrovic train, didn't they, last season? I think him and Werner were two of the most selected by going into game week 1 last season. Not sure. Do you know what? I don't know if you boys remember, but Palace a few years ago, Huddersfield had just come up. Their first season in the Prem, they went to Palace on the opening day, won 3-0. And I just feel like Palace will take a bit of time to get used to playing under Vieira. And I think I fancy Brentford to win this one, boys. And I think you've picked out some good assets to look at, cheap ones, and Mbeumo and players like that. But Toney, I think there is a lot of people have kind of jumped on that train, and I think there'll be a few concerned people if he doesn't score this weekend.
How are you remembering Huddersfield fixtures and results?
No, I remember
years
that.
ago.
I remember that
because I have a memory. No, I just remember it was Stano. You know, Huddersfield. There was just a bit.
Sake, man.
Well, there's just a lot of fuss at Huddersfield, wasn't there, at the time of getting promoted? They'd come from, I think, in the bottom half of the championship. They'd had a storming run. They got promoted, and they went to Palace on the opening day and absolutely whooped them. And I don't know. I just remember it, and it just feels a bit like that for Palace. I think that was the season actually. Palace lost their first 7 games, and they still stayed up. So there you go.
Oh, under De Boer.
Yeah.
Would
and
you
then
say
Roy came in?
That Zaha is very much a forgotten man this year? People, usually you have a fair band of people who have got him in their teams. He's picked by 6.7% of all players at the moment, and so
Not for me.
Is he too patchy for you?
Yeah, too up and down, and I just don't fancy Palace. Certainly, I think they're going to take a while, as I say, to get used to what Javier wants to play. So, my favourite saying at the moment: "Wouldn't touch him with a barge pole."
Oh, there it is. Bap, bap.
Yeah. Okay, then, Michael. Next fixture, please.
I was desperately trying to find the attendance to see if Anthony could remember that, but I just can't track it down.
22,000, something like that.
Leeds Everton, then. Really difficult one this to call, I think. Expect goals, as we probably will in most Leeds games. Bamford obviously didn't set the world alight in his first game, Phil, but you're sticking with him. You're sticking with him, are you?
You wouldn't have known that he was on the pitch, would you?
Yeah, I've got this issue, and I know Lukaku is expensive, but my plan will be to move Mane to Lukaku or Kane if he goes to City. At the last season, what I would have done now is go striker and Mane out, bring in Lukaku, take a -4. And this season, I'm trying to be more patient. I'm really, really trying to be more patient.
Overrated.
Not just fritter away money. And I've got to remember that I picked Mane because he's got good fixtures coming up. So I've got to show a bit of faith more than one game. He could have had a goal. He could have had an assist. But Bamford is probably my route to getting Lukaku at the moment. and so I'm slightly worried for his existence. I'm hoping he scores a couple of goals, and then he'll just reassure me. But I wouldn't panic about Leeds. I don't think Bielsa will let them just absorb loads of batterings. It was a one-off game against United. I think
there's loads of brilliantly cheap Leeds assets. I know a lot of people have got on board Rafina, Harrison. Has performed really well over the last year for them. Bamford, I'm really not sure at 8 million. Dallas, there are loads of cheap options.
Luke Ayling,
if you're looking to
4.5.
Yeah, I mean, his first
absolute beauty.
His first Premier League goal. I think we talked pre-season about the fact that you can expect him to start every week, but don't expect a great deal more than that. And then he goes and scores in the first game. But as for Everton, we've kind of touched Everton, haven't we? Already with Gray and with Townsend, Richarlison.
Fair play
in
to
amongst the goals.
Fair play to Richarlison, who played in the Copa America. He then went to the Olympics and then came back and started the season and played out of his skin.
Yeah.
Fair play. I didn't expect him to be playing yet.
Agreed.
With the Leeds assets, Rafinha has been called up to the Brazil squad. There's an international break in a couple of weeks, and Brazil have got, and Argentina, I think the South American teams, they're playing an extra game. So there is a chance he may miss a game. He'll be out for like game week, maybe 4 or 5.
Information
so
I could have done with on Friday night, Phil, when I transferred him in.
Well, I still think he's a great player, and as Rubber Ducky is saying online, he's their best option. But I don't want to bring in a player who is potentially going to miss a game, in a couple of weeks' time.
I think there'll be very few squads out there without a Leeds asset. I think you'd be mad not to have one of them just because of the your value for money there.
Firpo, by the way, my tip.
Oh yes, Firpo, that went well.
Came off the bench, got a -1 for me. Not ideal, but he was on my bench because I did fear that United were going to be up for it.
You really bigged him up.
Patience on Firpo, please. He starts for me this week against Everton.
Okay. All right then. So Man City, Norwich. Norwich. I mean, this ends up an absolute pasting.
Well, especially with Man City being a wounded beast after their surprise defeat yesterday. What assets? We've all talked previously, haven't we, about not touching Man City assets because of Pep Roulette. Well, would you consider any?
Yeah, I would. Grealish. Although I was disappointed at how deep he was playing against Spurs. I prefer him in that number 10 role. It's whether Pep does. That's the problem. Especially when you're accommodating both him and De Bruyne. Interesting that De Bruyne came on, played that false 9, made a real difference last 15 minutes. Looked very dangerous every time he got on the ball. De Bruyne, for me, is still not to be overlooked. I think he'll play most weeks, De Bruyne. I think he'll rotate around him, but I think De Bruyne and I think Grealish actually will start. It'll be interesting to see in terms of what they do as a holding midfielder, because yesterday it was Fernandinho and he looked off it. He looked every one of his 34 years. Whether they play Rodrigo or I don't know what happens there, but I would look at Grealish at 8 million. I think it was a steal for Villa. But he was on all their set pieces, wasn't he? He was their main man.
Yeah.
It's a slightly different affair with Man City. Is he better value in the City team at 8 million than he was in the Villa team at 8 million? There's a poser for you.
Not right now, because him and Sterling were playing on top of each other. It was a bit confusing. They were both playing wide left, weren't they? It was weird, but maybe that's just what Pep likes doing. Norwich, obviously, they beat City last time at the start of the season in the Premier League.
They did. Do you remember that, Ant?
I do. I remember where the attendance was. 3-2 the score, wasn't it? But that was at Carrow Road, not at the Etihad. So a bit of a...
I remember, because me and Phil were listening to it in the car on the way to Bournemouth that night. We were out on a social. We were going out on a social. I think we were meeting you, Anthony. Yeah, and the second goal went in.
Oh, there you go.
Well. And I wouldn't be bringing any Norwich assets in particularly for this game. That would seem like madness. They've got Leicester and Arsenal afterwards, but game week 5 is where cheap Norwich players will probably come to the fore because they've got plenty of them. Campbell looked off the pace, and he put
beautiful hack in the second half.
Yeah, that was.
Oh, goodness me.
That was classic. He pressed circle on the controller,
like you did, as hard as you can.
Sived him down. So yeah, I'd look at Norwich assets after that.
Brighton against Watford is the 5:30 kickoff on Saturday. Are these two teams that we've done a bit of an injustice in terms of the pre-season build-up? Both of them walked away with wins on Saturday afternoon, and unexpected wins of that. I would imagine, but there's no Galacticos in there, is there, in terms of players that you would just want to have in your team?
No, but you mentioned maybe Mopé for this one. He's cheap. I know you don't like him, but he scored again at the weekend. Watford, I think it could have it at both ends of the pitch. I think it might be good going forward, but they're going to be leaky defensively. I mean, I'd flagged Brighton up, boys, in the fixtures last weekend, and they got some good winnable fixtures to start with. Good win after coming from behind at the weekend against Burnley. And like Mopé, I mean, I've got Dunk in my team, and I think
Duffy 4 million.
Yeah, cheap as chips.
Begging you for mercy. He really is.
Another 4 million player. Saints had Livramento, and he started.
I did mention him actually in our pre-season preview. I did say that they were going to try and accommodate him and Carl Walker-Peters in the same team.
Yeah, he got the nod, so that was very interesting. 4 million for a starting defender. Is he this season's Tyreek Mitchell?
Maybe.
But on the Watford team, I don't think we underplayed them. It's just we had no idea what to expect from them, and I'm not sure we still do. They had like 10 strikers on the game.
It's a huge squad. Huge squad. Ismail Assar is the one that will play every week at 6 million and set as a midfielder. He might be a differential for people. Look very, very dangerous. Yeah. Southampton, Man United. Did Man United continue where they left off? I had chap to me telling me that he'd bought today that he'd bought in who's your old man that plays up front for them?
Cavani.
Yeah, he'd bought him in today as part of a wildcard pick, which seemed odd to me. He was saying that the chances that they were creating for Greenwood, Cavani would be mopping that up all day long. The amount of crosses were going into the box, I don't know.
No, I wouldn't. No, not for me. Not for me. Someone who's not guaranteed to start week in, week out.
Yeah, agreed.
Obviously, I've brought Sancho in. Do you think Sancho starts this one?
I think Daniel James did okay, but no more than that. United just looked very good. I fancy United actually to push probably City and Liverpool and Chelsea actually, boys. I think it's wide open, to be honest. But I fancy United to be the closest challenge for the league, and I think Sancho is a great shout. I think at the money they've paid for him, he's going to start sooner rather than later, and no better time than against the Southampton team who are bang in trouble. They're going to go for me. Despite I think Adam Armstrong is a bit of a snip. He knows where the goal is, but I just don't think it's enough for them.
It was interesting that they selected Alex McCarthy in goal, and he may well be there because last season they kept chopping and changing their keepers. He's 4.5 million for a starting keeper, but I wouldn't be making keeper transfers right now. No. Ward-Prowse 6.5, but they don't have much excitement in their team, do they?
Not cool. No.
Adam Armstrong, like I said, he's selected by 1.8% of all players. You can go Tony to Armstrong and bank 0.5 million there. And he's a goal scorer just like Tony. So I think they'll end up on a similar goal tally at the end of the season.
Yeah. Okay.
I'd go with
that. Wolves Spurs. Wolves looked every bit the team I thought they might be. The odd flurry of excitement going forward, but on the whole, pretty solid. Didn't trouble Leicester too much, did they? And I didn't see anything in Wolves that I thought, I want to be bringing them into my team. Traore, interesting, seemed to be playing almost down the middle. They were playing him up front as opposed to on the wing. Had a couple of chances that maybe he should have done better with.
A bit like me tonight at football. Yeah. Except I'm less greasy. But yeah, he was playing through the middle. What price is Traore at the moment? I mean, he's not much, is he? Because I think all the Wolves players went down, and he missed a sitter. He's 6 million on the game, owned by 1.1% of players, and he got the full 90, which is what he's been trying to get. They got Tottenham and United, so maybe watch him for those next 2 games, have him on a watch list or something. And then after that, they've got a great run of fixtures: Watford, Brentford, Saints, Newcastle, Villa, Leeds, Everton, Palace, West Ham, Norwich, Burnley. That's 10 weeks of great fixtures.
Could be tempted,
Yeah.
Could be tempted. But I've been burnt by Traore in the past. We'll see.
Well,
we all have, mate. We've all been there.
Watch Wolves closely, because they are definitely ones that have got the best fixture run coming up in the coming weeks. We did wonder who would start at the back for them. Whoever there started.
Oh yeah,
4 million.
Doing well.
So that's a cheap defender to get in. So he's owned by 2.2% on the game.
Tottenham we've covered, so we'll move on to Arsenal Chelsea. Presumably only looking at Chelsea assets here.
Well, Lacazette and Aubameyang were just ill, which was weird.
That was weird. There wasn't much details on that, was there?
There's a lot. There's a lot of players ill at the moment, aren't there? All of them seemingly being linked away with transfers.
Funny that, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, Arsenal were just dire, weren't they? I mean, you'd fancy they couldn't get much worse, but Chelsea did look good.
I think Chelsea run right here, lads.
Yeah, they don't concede either, Chelsea, do they? They just look so defensively good and solid. Agreed. You can't see past a Chelsea win here.
I'm worried. Is meat and drink for Lukaku.
If he starts.
If he starts, he will have a field day, lads, in this one.
If I hear come Friday that Lukaku is going to start in the press conferences or in the build up to the game, I will go Mane and someone out, and I'll bring in Lukaku because I think he could, like I say, he could run right. And it's not. I mean, we do this podcast, and we've been watching football for a long time, and we're not incredibly knowledgeable. We just enjoy watching football. You might be, Mike. You had a good week.
Incredibly knowledgeable.
But that Arsenal team, like you said, Ant, when the team came out, I was thinking, who on earth is that? Who are these people? No disrespect to them, because they're obviously better at football than me. But they were a bunch of unknowns, a very young team. Interestingly, on the game, apart from Pepe, the most expensive player then was Saka on the game, 6.5, and then you go down to 5.5 million. It's just a bunch of unknowns. It's really weird.
They pay £50 million for a defender who's very good at watching the ball go over his head.
Absolutely. They started Folarin Balogun up front. He played 58 minutes, which is really annoying as a fantasy manager because you only get 1 point if they come off before the 60th minute. But he's a 5 million striker on the game.
I just don't think people will be going near Arsenal assets at the moment. And Mikel Arteta, he's bang in trouble.
Look, a word of warning against Lukaku. Just looking at their next 4 fixtures.
You've literally just brought him in.
I have.
You know what he's like. He's so trigger happy.
But I'm looking to, because people will be thinking, "Oh, Mike, he absolutely knows what he's talking about these days." So I better just follow what he's doing. But just a word to the wise guys: their next 4 fixtures include Liverpool, Tottenham, and Man City, Chelsea.
Yeah.
So, you might be better off. But you might be better off holding off just for 3 or 4 weeks, giving him time to bed into the team, learn how Tuchel wants him to play, and then making those changes, maybe as part of a wild card. Who knows?
What's happening with Kane? When are we going to see him play football again?
It's an interesting one, isn't it? They just need to sort out one way or the other, don't they? If he's going, they just need to get rid. And whether they get was 150 million Daniel Levy wants for him.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but
I think he'll start. I think he'll start this week. They've got a Europa Conference League tie away. I think that's the perfect game to give him a run out. There won't be many Spurs fans there. He won't have the pressure of a big home crowd and any animosity that might come his way as a result of that. So I think as much for him to put himself in the shop window as it is to get some game time in his legs if he does stay. So I think he'll start this week. But I think the big game is whether he plays this weekend, think that's a key indicator as to what happens next. But
with Chelsea last season, their defence, once Tuchel come in, he really solidified their defence. I had Rudiger, who I think at the time was like 4.5 million. He was really cheap. He's 5.5 million now, but he was dominant in that game the other day. He's very dangerous at set pieces, and I would recommend if you're looking at Chelsea. Like I feel uncomfortable not having a Chelsea player because they look so strong. Their wing backs, they rotate, so you're looking at Mount or Rudiger, or they're the sort of only two nailed players. Would you say?
yeah.
So Mount got an assist, so he's on 6 points already. He's 7.5 million in midfield. But Rudiger, I might try and shoehorn him into defence.
Listen, fantastic game to finish, lads. Actually, I think two teams that impressed on the opening day and have impressed us over the last couple of years in terms of their journey. West Ham host Leicester City. Loads of assets here that people are looking at. Cresswell proved very popular this first weekend. Got what it looked like a goal for a moment there, but ended up getting an assist.
No, it counted as a goal.
Did it count as a goal?
Yeah.
Antonio, who scored and assisted and could have had a couple had he put that penalty away. And then from Leicester's perspective, Vardy just keeps doing what Vardy does. Interesting that Patson Dako, we flagged him up pre-season, didn't start. But the usual suspects of Maddison and Barnes and there are a few assets there. Anybody that I've not mentioned, lads, that you think maybe we should be thinking about?
Not thinking about, but maybe trying to avoid at the moment is Nacho got dropped to the bench. 18 minutes he came on as a sub. I know a lot of people had him in their team. 7.5 million is a lot when you've got people like Wilson who are guaranteed a start. If we see him get a run of games, then obviously chuck him in. But I don't want to be paying 7.5 million for a bench player. Thanks.
The big three in that price bracket are Antonio, Wilson, Iheanacho. There's your three to pick between, aren't they?
Yeah, and if Iheanacho is not playing, I'd swap out. West Ham are going to score goals. They're going to concede goals, but they're going to score plenty of goals because they push on in numbers. And Cresswell got, 11 assists, was it last season?
Yeah, incredible numbers, wasn't it? And they certainly look like they carried on from where they left off last season. They were probably the most impressive team, weren't they, outside of your normal top four last season?
Yeah.
Good comeback at the weekend. Newcastle, I think, will be better than they were last season. But yeah, they just look very good going forward, West Ham.
We mentioned Benrahma at 6 million, but we're surprised to see that the game hasn't pushed the pricing of Souček up this season after what was a brilliant season for him last year. 6 million, I think, is still a good price for him. He's a real threat from set pieces as much as anything else. So
and Bowen,
Bowen,
he was playing because obviously last year Lingard came in and Bowen got dropped, but he looked like a man who's trying to play for his place, and he went on quite a few dribbles. He did well as well. I'd watch Bowen.
Low ownership, mate, as well. Just over 2% for him at the moment.
Oh,
what price is he?
Good question. I think he's about 6.5. I think.
Yeah, okay, cool.
I mean, that was seamless, Ant. Which
thanks.
We bring the pod to the close as we always do here on the FPL Fantasy Threesome Pod with our punts, do we not?
Yes,
we do.
So Phil, why don't you explain this time how punts work? Because you may or may not put a tweet out about it this week.
Correct. Yeah, if I remember, I'm not camping this weekend.
We're going to Big World.
Yeah, honestly, such a tiring day, but the kids did enjoy it. So we pick a player with under 2% ownership, and the player who gets the most points will pick one of our captains next week. So it's a lot of responsibility, and you can be cruel, you can be kind. And it's varied in the past, but you get a lot of power, and obviously a captain pick, as we discussed last week. If your captain this week gets picked and it was Fernandes, that's an extra 20 points.
It most certainly is.
Yeah,
okay, good boy.
Very important. So we will now give you our picks for under 2% ownership. Mike, who have you got?
I've gone for the player who ran the furthest yesterday in the Man City Spurs game, Dele Alli.
Really?
6.5 million, 1.8% ownership. A man determined, I think, to put his career back on track.
Okay,
cool. Anthony?
I've gone for John McGinn of Villa. Scored a great goal against Watford. from outside the box. Brilliant finish. Only 1.6% ownership for him. Home game, first of the season for them. Home to Newcastle, who conceded goals. So yeah, I'm hoping he comes up trumps for me. So Phil, who's yours?
Brian Mbuemo, 5.5 million. I think he's going to scare Crystal Palace and their lack of players. So I'm going Brian Mbuemo.
I've got to tell you, as an announcer who made this faux pas last season, it is Mbuemo. It's not. Yeah, Kinder Mbuemo. It is. It is Mbuemo.
Well,
Burma, Phil, come on.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry
right.
about that, James.
Three decent picks there, lads. I would suggest on paper.
Early
Yeah.
days, you see. We can get on some. There's a good spread of players being selected.
Yeah.
And Mbuemo is 1.2% ownership. There is a lot of template teams which they all did well this week, but if they don't do well next week, then you can easily climb up the league. So if you had a bad start, don't stress about it. It's
chill out.
It can all change quickly.
Thanks,
so
boys.
Anthony, chin up, mate. Enjoy your shoes.
Well, mate, that was an absolute highlight, and I'm sure you'll be wearing that T-shirt next time we record while drinking a nice cup of tea from your mug.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, gents. Well, I hope you have a good week. And guys, the deadline for this week is there a Friday night game? Did we say? There's not.
No.
Is there? It's Saturday. So the deadline is 11 a.m. UK time on Saturday.
Before we finish, can I just very quickly as well say a big thank you to everybody that's got on board with the league this season. Well over 600 teams in the league, which is great to see. Shout out to my 5 top teams, all of them television or film related. Some of them have been doing the rounds for a few years, I think, and haven't updated their team. But Dukes of Hazzard, the Canate Kid, Neville Wears Prada, Pookie Blinders, and Bakuna Matata. Yeah, well done, guys. Good effort.
And the top 5 in our league are, I'll go team names because I think that's going to be easier to read, is T Can't Be Mo, Sheffield Thursday, clever, Smiley Face Emoji, Shorberto Carlos, and winning our league at the moment is Every Day is Special, Philip Darko, 118 points. Congratulations to you, sir. You're currently on for the Manager of the Month prize, Excitement.
That was very well done, Phil. What excitement to end on.
We are on Twitter and stuff.
We are on Twitter and stuff. Please, someone leave another Apple review. It's very exciting when we see them, but it has been about a year since we have seen a review, which is strange because we get quite a few listeners on Apple, but no one can be bothered to review us, which is, I understand. I mean, I listen to podcasts and don't review them, so fair enough. But if you want to make this little man happy, then please do that. And subscribe on any of the platforms that you normally listen on. Mike, you used to sing us out, and you're quite happy this week. You're winning. So for the 1 week of the season that you're winning, what are you going to sing us out with?
Well, I hadn't planned it, but it feels obvious. Hold on. Here we go. Let's go for it. Have I done this one before?
Probably.
No. No, I haven't. I haven't done this one before. I have done a similar one. Here we go. Recognise the tune, lads?
Feels a bit Partridge.
Does. It looks and feels very Partridge so far. Here we go.
Here we go. I don't want to talk
it's quite a long intro.
About the things we've gone through, though it's hurting me. No, it's history.
Enjoy editing this, Phil.
Yeah, I might.
I've played all my cards. Don't fade me now. And that's what you've done too. Nothing more to say. No more is to play. The winner takes it all. With
Tyler, Tyler,
this was standard. I'm sorry.
Are you okay, lads? I honestly don't know.
Beside the
Giddy on victory.
Thank you for listening, everybody.
Goodbye now.
Goodbye.
Have a good week.